just like that, the Baltimore Ravens 2024 season is over. It's done. That's a wrap. Ain't no more adding to it. Ain't no, oh man, let's get them next week. Oh man, we made some mistakes in this game, but next week we're going to be much better. No, that's it. You're done. And it's officially over. Team Keep It Clean. I'm here to share my post-game thoughts, and it sucks because this is the last post-game thoughts of this season. It shouldn't have been. It wasn't supposed to be, but it is. But I'm here to share my post-game thoughts from the game that we all watched and did not like the outcome of it. Had some nice moments, had some fun moments, but overall, just the Ravens decided, you know what? We're not going to put on our best showing in the biggest game of the year for us. And they came up short to the Buffalo Bills. But Team Keep It Clean, before we get into it, I know we did not like the game. I know we did not like the outcome. I know we did not like how it went. But make sure you leave a like on the video because it does still help out the channel a lot. And subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on so you can stay up to date with everything still going on with the Baltimore Ravens. I know we in off-season mode. We did not want to be here. But please, don't take it out on the channel. I still love y'all. I hope y'all still rocking with us. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. And I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear, speak, see, text about, read about, listen to anything that got to do with the Baltimore Ravens. But hopefully y'all are still rocking with us. I love y'all, and I know it's very frustrating. It's annoying. I know every single emotion was going through everybody last night. But we got no choice but to keep it moving, man. And Ravens it was a big letdown in that game. But let's just get straight into it. Ravens offense, let's start with them. Ravens offense in the game, oh boy, I feel like it was too little, too late. That's how I feel about them. Because the way that they started, Ravens got the ball first drive, and they were getting it done. They were moving the ball, and they got a touchdown. And it's like that. That's exactly how you want to start. You want to start. If you're going to get the ball first, I don't know if Bills won the toss and they deferred. I would assume that's what happened because the Ravens have usually been deferring and kicking the ball off when they win the toss. But Ravens got the ball. They moved down the field. Touchdown. It's okay, yeah, let's get it, baby. We like that. We love that, as a matter of fact. Shout out to Rashad Bateman for scoring a touchdown. And they set the tone. They were like, hey, we in Buffalo. This is an away game for us. It's playoffs, baby. This is how we're going to start. And we loved it. We loved it. But then it just slowed down a lot from there. But Ravens offense, just specifically about the offense overall, then we'll get to specific players. I feel like in this game, Derrick Henry was not featured enough. There in the first half. In the second half, Derrick Henry, there was a lot more of Derrick Henry, but in the first half, it was like Derrick Henry was just not featured enough. I think he had in the first half like 8 carries, and I know I don't like always just going to the numbers because the numbers don't tell the whole story, but we saw in this game, Derrick Henry was not featured enough in the first half. They kept going away from him. They did not go to him. They did not have him involved enough early on in the game, and it just, I was thinking like, man, the Baltimore Ravens, like, how is this happening? Because this is what you brought him in for. This is what you brought Derrick Henry. You didn't bring Derrick Henry in for the regular season. You brought him in for the playoffs. And to do what you did, that's not, no, man. But even as frustrating as that is, they still had opportunities to win this game. They still did multiple opportunities to win this game, even with the limited use of Derrick Henry in the first half. But other than that, the play calling, in my opinion, it was fine. Minus the use of Derrick Henry, that could have been better, but the play calling was fine. Execution, though, that's a whole nother story. Speaking about Lamar Jackson specifically, obviously, very first drive, led them down the field, got the touchdown. That was beautiful, but Lamar Jackson, too many mistakes in the first half. Too many. There was the interception. I overthrew it to Rashad Bateman. It looked like there was a miscommunication. It looked like Rashad Bateman thought he was doing one thing. He thought Rashad Bateman was doing another. Threw it, interception. Don't know what happened, but it happened. That's a turnover. Now, I know that the Bills did not score off of that turnover, but the turnover is still really bad because the Ravens did not score because they turned the ball over. So that was just, it was bad. It was a bad interception. And while, again, the Bills didn't get points off of it, neither did the Ravens. So that contributed to the Baltimore Ravens loss. You can't turn the ball over. And especially this being playoffs, it's bad. It's bad. And because that takes away a possible 3 points off the board. You lost the game by 2. You lost the game by 2 points. 2 points. So it just could have been much different had that turnover not happened. But it did, and that was part of the game. And then later on, Lamar Jackson with the fumble. And I know, like, with Lamar, we've seen it so many times. Yeah, it was a bad snap. So that contributed. It's like, oh, a bad snap in Buffalo? What's new? What's new? An interception in Buffalo? Hey, what's new? Same old story from, 2020. Same old story, just happening with different players in different ways. But on that play, we've seen Lamar Jackson take a bad snap and just make a play out of it. We've seen that happen a lot of times. So I see what he was trying to do, but it didn't work this time. It didn't work. And that turnover was big because the Bills, they did score off of that one. So again, turnovers, they're the worst. They're the worst. In the regular season, they're the worst, but playoffs, they certainly hurt that much more because they can end your season just like that. And they were big contributors in it. He turned that ball over on that fumble. And with him turning the ball over, yeah, that led to Buffalo Bills scoring. But shout out to Justice Hill on that play because when Damar Hamlin, he tackled Lamar fumbled, Von Miller picked it up, but Justice Hill, he gave 2,000,000% effort on that play. And Justice Hill was having a really good game, but he gave 2,000,000% effort on that play, tackled Von Miller, make sure he didn't score a touchdown. But the Bills offense, they did score a touchdown. But anyway, back to Lamar Jackson. Those hiccups, those mistakes, they were bad. They were bad. So they contributed to this loss for sure. But Lamar in the second half, he cleaned it up in a major way. Cleaned it up big time. Strikes to Rashad Bateman to get him down to the 2-yard line. But then it's like, oh, man. They get down. He hits Rashad Bateman. And the pass was a little bit underthrown, but he got it to Rashad Bateman. Nice catch from Rashad Bateman, too, by the way. Shout out to him. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. But great pass. But they were on the 2-yard line. They handed it off to Derrick Henry once. And then on the following play, Lamar Jackson, they do a play action. Figure they probably should have handed it off to Derrick Henry again, because that's Derrick Henry. Like, you line up in I formation, or you just give it to Derrick Henry. Like, he's going to get there eventually. He's going to get in the end zone eventually. But they did a play action, and Lamar took a sack. He took a sack, and that just changed a lot on that drive because they ended up having to settle for a field goal. And it was like, man. It was tough, man. Because again, every play matters that much more, and that was just a bad play from Lamar. He took a sack, and that moved him way back. I think they lost like five yards on that play. So that it's just frustrating, man. But after that, Lamar Jackson was put in some tough situations, but he did his thing. And then there was in the second half, there was the drive where they did get the 2 field goals, which was great. Shout out to Justin Tucker. We'll talk about him later on. But let's fast forward to the end of the game. Lamar Jackson, he's doing his thing, moving the ball down the field. And I guess this will sort of transition us almost to Mark Andrews, because Lamar Jackson he scrambled around, bought some time, found Mark Andrews down the field. Mark Andrews makes a nice catch, and it's like, oh, yeah, let's go, baby. But then the forced fumble. The forced fumble. Mark Andrews made the catch, and he said he went back, tried to get some more yards. Now, you know what? I know a lot of people are like, oh, Mark Andrews should have just kept running, or he should have went down. I honestly did not have a problem with Mark Andrews trying to get some more yak. We've seen Mark Andrews get yak in different ways throughout the years. So I don't think he did anything wrong with trying to get more yards, but you got to hold on to the ball. Got to hold on to the ball. And they even brought up the stat, oh, Mark Andrews, he ain't lost a fumble since 2019. So obviously he's been making this play plenty of times before. Obviously Mark Andrews has been very successful at getting yak for the Baltimore Ravens, obviously. But in this situation, he tried it, but and I saw what he saw. When you look at the replay, you can see what he saw. Because there were two defenders, because I know there's this screenshot going around like, oh, man, look what Mark Andrews cut back and this was in front of him. No. There were defenders that were coming towards Mark Andrews on that play. So if he would have cut back, looked like he was going to be successful and get a few more yards, but he just got the ball punched out. And that was that, man. Got the ball punched out, and that was a big turnover. So that gave the Bills the balls back, and it took away points from the Ravens again. And that was in the fourth quarter. But, hey, Lamar, the Ravens got the ball back because the defense, I think they held them to a field goal on that drive, I believe. But Ravens got the ball back, and Lamar moved the ball down the field again. Obviously didn't have Zay Flowers for the whole game. Didn't have Rashad Bateman on the drive that they needed. And again, this situation, game was on the line. Every season was on the line. Ravens had 3 minutes to move that ball 90 yards. And I think Lamar did it in a minute and a half, I believe. He did it in like a minute and a half. They moved the ball. Lamar in the offense, they did it in a minute and a half. They moved the ball down the field. He was running. He was throwing. He was doing it all. There was no Rashad Bateman. There was no Zay Flowers. So his two best receivers were not even in the game. He had Anthony Miller, Nelson Aguilar, Tylan Wallace, and of course Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. And they still made it happen. Season on the line. Lamar stepped up and made it happen. Yeah, that first half that he had overall with the turnovers, not good. A lot more bad than good in the first half. But in the second half, Lamar, he cleaned up everything. He really did. Cleaned it all up. But then some other people, they didn't clean it up. So Lamar Jackson, he messed up, took away points in the first half. That contributed to this loss big time. Then there were other people that took away points in the second half. That contributed to the loss big time. This is blame to go around for everybody. But then he moved the ball down the field on that last drive of the game for the Baltimore Ravens. Threw the touchdown to Isaiah Likely. Oh, beautiful touchdown. It's like, oh, yes. The score is 25-27. All we got to do is go for two now. Let's get it, baby. And what happened? Well, y'all know. There was a drop. All Mark Andrews would have had to do was do his signature. Because we know what Mark Andrews is. A lot of times we'd be like, man, Mark Andrews, why are you falling so much? Because he'll make a catch and he'll slide down. He'll make a catch and he'll fall down. And that's all he had to do, though. Do your thing, Mark Andrews. Perfect play call for the 2-point conversion. And, I forgot to mention, there was that 2-point conversion earlier in the game where the Baltimore Ravens, they scored a touchdown. I think it was after the Derrick Henry touchdown. Where Baltimore Ravens scored a touchdown and they were down by 2, I believe. And there were a lot of people saying, oh, man, no. Ravens, they were speaking in hindsight. And they were like, oh, man, no, the Ravens, they should have kicked the extra point. That came back to bite. No, they should not have kicked the extra. They did the right call going for 2. Great play call, but execution. Ball got tipped. The ball got tipped. Play call was just fine. And that's been the thing with the Baltimore Ravens with these 2-point conversions. The play calls have been good for these 2-point conversions. For the most part, there was the one during the season where they ain't even have Derrick Henry or Zay Flowers on the field. I forgot what game that was. So that one was like, but minus that one. In this game alone, though, the 2-point conversion calls, they were good, and they were both the right calls. The one still, while the game was still going on, not the last one of the game, again, it was the right call because Ravens were down by 2. If they would have got that 2-point conversion, it would have been a tie game. It would have been a tie game, and that's what you do. I believe it was 19-21 at that point, and Ravens went for 2 to tie it up. Yeah, that was the right thing. They should not have kicked the extra point. Right decision was made. It was. Ravens, just the execution was poor. That was it. So, but anyway, fast forwarding back to the end of the game again. Perfect play call. Perfect play call. They had everybody on the field who they needed to have. They had Lamar Jackson out there. They had, obviously, but they had Derrick Henry out there, Mark Andrews, likely and all them. And they called up the play. They dialed up the play. Perfect play call. But Mark Andrews, and he put it in the perfect spot too. I saw some people trying to say, "Oh man, that was a bad throw. You should have." No, the throw was perfect. It was just fine. It was just fine. It wasn't low. It wasn't high. It hit Mark Andrews right there. He just dropped it. Just dropped it. And that was the ball game. And it's tough. And it's like with Mark Andrews, he did make some plays this game for sure. But he did miss some too. And everything makes such a big difference. Because what's crazy is that obviously we know Lamar Jackson, he fumbled the ball. He fumbled the ball. And that was big. That took away points from the Baltimore Ravens and gave points to the Buffalo Bills. But do you know what happened right before that fumble? Do you remember what happened right before that fumble? Mark Andrews dropped the ball. It's a game of inches, my friends. It really is. It's a game of inches. And every play counts. Every play contributes. Everything. And there's no excuses for Lamar Jackson fumbling the ball. But you would hope, hey, Mark Andrews will make that catch. But again, stuff just happens, man. It's football. Everybody ain't perfect 24/7. Because Lamar missed some throws, too. He missed a few throws. But, yeah, man, it's just tough, man. It was tough seeing all of this unfold. I was happy that Lamar did show, like, hey, I can overcome mistakes. Because, again, he overcame his poor first half or the poor first half plays that he made. But it was just too little too late from the Ravens. Too little too late for everything, man. But he was a big contributor in this loss. Mark Andrews, he was a big contributor in this loss. Offensive line, they did their thing overall. They did their thing. There were times when the blitz, it would come in, but overall, I know Lamar Jackson got sacked. There was this one by Damar Hamlin. I don't remember him getting sacked any other time besides that. Oh no, he got sacked twice. Oh yeah, the one I was just talking about, the one on the second down. Yeah, so he got sacked by Damar Hamlin. That was a fumble, and then there was the one where he threw to Rashad Bateman, and Rashad Bateman caught it on like the 2-yard line, and then first down they ran it with Derrick Henry, but the second down they did the play action. He got sacked. Okay, so yeah. So he got sacked twice. But the offensive line overall, they did their thing this game. But yeah, Ravens didn't capitalize enough, as we know. Derrick Henry, we talked about him, 16 carries for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. First half was quiet. Bills were all over him. Shout out to Bills defense, by the way. They were all over Derrick Henry early on. But still, Ravens, they weren't featuring him enough. And there's been this weird thing. I don't know what it is. Like, Derrick Henry will get a big run. Like, not even a huge run. Like, 10-yard run, 10-yard run, 12-yard run. Then they'll take him off the field. I don't know what it's been. I mean, obviously, he still got 1,900 yards this season. So, whatever they've been doing has still been working. He's still been effective. But it's been some weird moments where they will do that. And it's like, hold on, why are we taking Derrick Henry off the field? What's going on? What's happening? And I know a lot of y'all have noticed that too. And it'll be like in these weird moments where they will do that. And what's this for? But we saw that a lot this game, especially in the first half. It's like, why? What is this about? But yeah, the second half, Derrick Henry, he was doing his thing. But then they still did it a little bit then too. A lot less than the first half, but they still did a little bit then too. But that was this was not the best game for the poor usage of Derrick Henry. Ravens in the run game, we didn't see the RPO. We didn't see the read option. We didn't see none of that stuff really with Lamar Jackson. Because there were a few times when it looked like they did it, the RPO, to where Lamar, he put it in Derrick Henry's chest, and he handed it off to Derrick Henry every time they did it. But it looked like if Lamar would have kept some, like, because they were really keying in on Derrick Henry. Bills defense was, they like, oh no. And this is in the first half. They were like, oh no. They were all over Derrick Henry. So it looked like if Lamar would have kept some of those, even just one, he would have had some space. He would have had some yards to take off. But they ain't do it. They ain't do it. So I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, Ravens, they ain't designed no runs for Lamar Jackson, really? So, okay. That's a choice. It's a choice right there. But the Ravens made it. So, it is what it is. Justice Hill, he had a good game for the Ravens. He had 6 carries for 50 yards. His longest carry was 22 yards. Justice Hill was doing this thing. Minus one run where they did, I think it was a toss play to him. And that was another one because Derrick Henry had just got a nice run. He had just got a nice run right before that. Then they took him off the field, and they put Justice Hill in, did a toss play with Justice Hill. And that ended up being a negative play. But yeah, but minus that, Justice Hill had a good game. He was doing his thing. And Lamar, he ran 6 times for 39 yards. So he wasn't running like crazy. I don't really feel like he needed to in this game. Like, when he did run, he took off and he did his thing. He got some positive yards, but he didn't really need to run in this game like crazy. But, I mean, that's, of course, that's part of your skill set. You use it. You take advantage of it. You do your thing to exploit the other team. You do whatever it takes to win. But, yeah, man, the turnovers were the real... Him not running in this game, that was not the issue. It was the turnovers. The turnovers. Interception, fumble by Lamar Jackson, then the fumble by Mark Andrews, then the sack on the second and goal by Lamar, the dropped 2-point conversion by Mark Andrews, the tipped 2-point conversion earlier with Lamar throwing the ball. So yeah, it was that contributed big time. Oh, yeah, then Mark Andrews is on the stat sheet for them 2 carries for 2 yards. They converted them 4th down, so good job by Mark there. So that was nice to see. Baltimore Ravens, they didn't have Zay Flowers in this game, but that ball certainly got spread around. Zay Flowers was certainly missed, though. He was definitely missed big time. Now, Zay Flowers being out was not the reason that they lost. So I don't want nobody to get it twisted. Zay Flowers not playing in this game was not the reason that the Baltimore Ravens lost. Because the Baltimore Ravens, they had more than enough talent to get it done. They really did. They really did. The team, the personnel, they had enough. They certainly did. But that execution, man, they did not execute, man. They didn't. Isaiah Likely, he had a good game, 4 catches for 73 yards. Now, with Isaiah Likely, I know there are people who, and I can't even say that this is in hindsight. I really can't for this because I saw people say, why didn't they design that 2-point conversion for Isaiah Likely? Why did they design it for Mark Andrews? Why not for Isaiah Likely? He got better hands than Mark Andrews. He does. He does. Now, Mark Andrews is not a bad tight end or anything like that. And obviously, Mark Andrews has made plenty of plays for the Ravens. But Mark Andrews, it's a weird thing that he does sometimes. Like, there will be games where he will drop the easiest pass. And I know it's easier for us to say we sitting here. I'm sitting here in a chair talking about an easy pass. So I ain't in the NFL. Mark Andrews is, and I'm not. So shout out to him, and he is obviously a baller. But he will drop. I rephrase that. He will drop what looks like an easy pass. But he will be making these insane, crazy catches. 4 guys in the area, Mark Andrews will go up and get it. Oh, touchdown. And we've seen him make them plays a million times. But Isaiah Likely, he'll make the crazy catches too. He'll make the crazy, but he'll make the routine catches as well. So I've seen people say, oh, man, yeah, why didn't they design that for Isaiah Likely? I can't be mad at that. But the play call is what it is. It was what it was. And again, perfect play call. Perfect play call. Just execution. It was bad. It's a drop. And, yeah, no tie game. And it's crazy. I've seen the picture. It said how the Baltimore Ravens season started. How the Baltimore Ravens season ended. It started with coming up just short to tie a ball game. Isaiah Likely makes that catch, but then that toe is out of bounds. Oh, and we couldn't tie it up. Then Mark Andrews, like Lamar Jackson throws a touchdown, ties it likely. Okay, now we got to go for 2. But then Mark Andrews just drops it. We can't tie it up. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But that is your 2024 Baltimore Ravens. That's a wrap on their season. So, yeah, that was the offense in this divisional game. Let's move on to the defense. Baltimore Ravens defense in this game, they were put in some tough situations because their first drive of the game, they did give up the touchdown. The Bills, they moved the ball on them, and they scored. I wasn't tripping about that, though, because I'm like, all right, it's early in the game. It's playoffs, and I get it. Like, Bills are the Bills. They're still a really good team. But the Baltimore Ravens defense, the turnovers by the Ravens, that forced them into tough situations. The interception and gave the Bills the ball. Then there was the fumble by Lamar. That gave the Bills the ball. And because it was not only just a fumble, but it was a fumble return. And Von Miller, he got some yards on that one, man. So that put them in a bad situation, too. But the defense, they did enough. Then there was a Mark Andrews, that fumble, too. That gave them the ball back. So they did enough, though, for the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. They kept getting put in bad situation after bad situation after bad situation. And I think one of the worst, most deflating parts about this game for the defense, something that wasn't even their own doing, wasn't even their fault, wasn't a bad defensive play, wasn't a bad defensive call, wasn't bad defensive execution. The refs, they certainly played a part in this game. I forgot to mention on offense, so we bring this up while we talk about the refs real quick. Even though it was not the end-all, be-all, but this was a huge momentum shifter, a huge play in this game. One, we didn't mention about Lamar Jackson on one of his scrambles where he was all the way out of bounds. It was not only a hip drop, but it was a late hit. So with that hip drop stuff, that was the whole Mark Andrews rule. I don't think they called not a single one. They said, oh, yeah, we're going to enforce the hip drop rule. We're going to enforce the penalty. We're going to force this and that. I don't think they called a single penalty with the hip drop tackles. But Lamar Jackson, he scrambled. He ran out of bounds. And the defender, I forgot who it was, but Lamar was clearly out of bounds, already out of bounds. Then the defender tackled him, brought him down to the ground with the hip drop tackle. It was supposed to be a late hit. They didn't call it at all. They didn't. And that was really frustrating because it's like, man, if that's Josh Allen, that's getting called all day. If that's Patrick, refs ain't even going to think twice. They ain't even going to think once about calling for Patrick Mahomes. But for Lamar, no, he didn't get it. But then back to the defense, the call that really changed momentum right before halftime is 3rd and 5. And Josh Allen, he drops back. I think it's Keon Coleman, Tre'Davious White covering Keon Coleman. Josh Allen throws it up. Ball's up in the air. Keon Coleman's looking up at the ball. Tre'Davious White looking up at the ball. They get engaged. Keon Coleman pushes Tre'Davious White down to the ground. Literally extends his arms, pushes Tre'Davious White down to the ground. The refs look. One ref looked at the ref like 20 yards downfield. He looked at him to confirm. Then he threw the flag. I'm like, offensive pass interference. It's clear as day. We see it. They said no. They said defensive pass interference. That call changed so much. And again, for a lot of this game, we could blame it on the Ravens' poor execution, especially on offense. That was not poor execution, though. That was like there was nothing that the Baltimore Ravens could have done about that play. Nothing. Because they did everything right. They did everything right. And that is deflating. When you do everything right and the refs, they still get it wrong. And that gave the Buffalo Bills amazing field position because we know those pass interferences out. Well, defensive pass interference is a spot penalty. So, or spot foul, whatever. So that moves the ball right to where it occurred at. So that gave the Bills excellent field position. Then they end up scoring. That play was such a game changer because I think that put the Bills up. Was it 21-10? Because I know if the Bills would have just got a field goal, then they would have been up by 7, I believe. But that was a big game changer. Again, that was not the end-all, be-all. But that play right there, that was like sickening, man. It really was, especially in this game, in that moment. It just changed so much. And that's what I say. Ravens defense, they were put in tough situations all night. All night. And that was probably, in my opinion, that was one of the toughest. Another one of the toughest, though, too, where they prevailed. The Bills, I want to say this was after the Mark Andrews fumble. I want to say. But the Bills had good field position. Mark Andrews fumbled. And the defense, they held them to a field goal. So and we needed the defense more than ever on that drive. And they showed up. Again, Ravens defense did everything that they had to do. They really did. The killer in this game was just them turnovers, man. It was the turnovers. Big time. But the Ravens defense, they played good enough. Were they locked down? Were they shut down? Not necessarily, but they were not bad, man. They did have some moments where they gave up some plays. No Brandon Stevens, he gave up a big catch here. And not here and there, though. Because Brandon Stevens, I think he gave up like 2 catches, I believe. But this was not we're going to pick on Brandon Stevens type of game. No. And you look, and I know numbers don't tell the whole story. But you look at Josh Allen numbers, they ain't nothing crazy. 16 for 22 for 127 yards. If you went into this game and you told us Josh Allen, he is only going to pass for 127 yards. Lamar's going to pass for 254 and if you would have told us these numbers, Lamar's going to pass for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. But Josh Allen is only going to pass for 127 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Ravens. Ravens got it, baby. Let's go. Nope, that wasn't the case. That was not the case. So Josh Allen wasn't going crazy. He wasn't throwing the ball all over the Baltimore Ravens. He really wasn't. But he was doing just enough. The Bills' run game, they had their moments against the Ravens, but it was solid. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was solid. Because they ran for 36 carries, 147 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, some of those are kneel downs, so take those out. But James Cook, 17 carries for 67 yards, average 3.9 yards per carry. He wasn't going crazy. He did have some solid runs. His longest carry of the night, though, was 11 yards. But I was like, hey, no, keep cooking, much rather than Davis, because Davis, number 22, he was breaking some. And then even Ty Johnson, because Davis, he was annoying me, but he had 4 carries for 29 yards. He averaged 7.3 yards a carry. Had a touchdown. His longest carry was 16 yards. He was frustrating me, man. Whenever he would touch the ball, he would make something happen. And then Ty Johnson, 5 for 31, averaged 6.2 yards a carry. So that's why I was like, look, no, leave cooking. Let him stay the running back in this game. Because them other running backs, they keep catching us with these big runs, man. And then Josh Allen, he had his 2 touchdowns on the ground on those QB sneaks. And that's been his thing all year, them QB sneaks. But the Ravens defense in this game, again, they played good enough. One thing that has been, but again, it wasn't the reason that they lost. But they didn't force any turnovers. They didn't force any turnovers. I don't even think they forced any turnovers last week either. Did they? Or did they? No, I don't think they did. I don't think they did. They did get to Russell Wilson last week. And they got to Josh Allen this week once. I know Kyle Van Noy and Matabike, they got a sack. But that was it. They were not getting to Josh Allen. They got a little close here and there, but they weren't consistently getting to him. But the same was said about the Bills defense to Lamar Jackson. They got some sacks here now, but the plays that they made on Lamar were much more impactful than the ones that the Ravens made on Josh Allen. But again, they did enough. They did more than enough. They made some nice tackles. There were some screens that the Bills set up where the Ravens, they defended them well. They did not let the screens pop off for big gains. Their defense, again, ever since week 11, they've been doing a phenomenal job of not giving up the big plays, and that's exactly what the defense continued to do in this game. Josh Allen took a couple of deep shots, not many though, but Ravens, they weren't giving that up. They were not giving that up. It was just the dink and dunk all game. Again, the 127 yards, man. 127 yards for Josh Allen, man. Dink and dunk all game. There was no crazy deep passes, no 50-yard pass, no. Dink and dunk all game long. The longest reception by a Bills receiver was for 34 yards. 34 yards. That was it. The next closest was for 12 yards. The Ravens gave up that one big catch for 34 yards. That was it. That was it. It's not big plays at all. But again, when you turn the ball over, yeah, man, the defense could put up an amazing effort. But if you're turning the ball over, you're not scoring, it's all going to be for nothing. And that's what it ended up being. Special teams in this game. Keith Mitchell, he got some nice kick returns in this game. Put us in some nice field position. There was one way he took a nasty hit, but he held on to that ball. So, hey, he did his thing. But with Keith Mitchell, yeah, he got some nice kick returns. Steven Sims, he had one nice punt return. He did not fumble at all, so that's always important for special teams. But the biggest special team part, Justin Tucker. Great job. Because he looked like, okay, he's like, yeah, I am back. After the bye, during the bye week, they said, hey, Justin Tucker, the Ravens will be inside, especially when it was raining like crazy. They said the Ravens will be inside practicing. They said Justin Tucker, he'll be outside practicing. And I remember after the bye week, when they came back, somebody was interviewing Justin Tucker, and you could just see his eye. He just looked drained. He looked like a madman. But he has been a madman ever since, because he ain't missed no field goal. He ain't even came close to missing no field goal. Justin Tucker has been on, ever since the bye week, Justin Tucker has been on point. And it continued in this game. Because he did kick a short field goal, but he kicked a 51-yarder? But for the conditions, it was snowing, it was cold outside. So, he got it. He got it. So, shout out to the bounce back for Justin Tucker. Obviously, it wasn't enough. He did everything on his part for the Ravens to win this game, though. The defense, they did their part. Special teams, they did their part. Offense, yeah, we know. And then with coaching. How was coaching in this game? Coaching was just fine. Coaching was just fine for the majority. Yeah, we did talk about with Derrick Henry. Think he should have been featured a bit more in the first half. But, again, that's not the reason that the Baltimore Ravens lost this game. Coaching was fine. This was all execution. This is not one of the playoff games where you're like, oh, man, yeah, John Harbaugh, he was terrible. He this, it. No, it really wasn't. It wasn't. Not at all. It wasn't. John Harbaugh is not the reason the Baltimore Ravens lost this game. There was no poor clock management by John Harbaugh. There were not these bad, egregious timeouts by John Harbaugh. There was not the poor challenges by John. Because y'all know, like, look, if John Harbaugh, especially playoff time, John Harbaugh messing up, oh, yeah, we call him out quick, fast, and in a hurry. Whatever coach. But John Harbaugh was not bad in this game at all. He really was. It was all execution. It really was. It was execution. Straight up, man. It really was. So, but that's that, man. I'm not sure where the Ravens go from here. Because 2 years straight, they've had more than enough to get it done. But they haven't gotten it done for a lot of different reasons. So I'm very lost on what the Baltimore Ravens do, what they should do in order to get better and be more successful. It's a tough way to go out. It's a terrible way to go, a heartbreaking way to go out. But that's the thing about having success in the regular season, man. You put yourself in this position to even be able to have the conversation, to be able to even play in these games in the playoffs. So we're glad that the Baltimore Ravens made the playoffs. They won the playoff game last week to even be in a position for us to be still talking about them being relevant at this point in the season. But now their relevancy has officially come to an end, and it's over.